Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Repurpose Live, where we inspire you to live on purpose and to create a life that you love by design. My name is Lissa Figgins, and it's my mission to help after 40 women like you to design your life in 7 key areas so that you can experience more balance, more growth, and more impact. And it's my intention each and every week to introduce you to an amazing woman who's on this journey and also inspiring others to come along with her as well. So today, I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend LaChelle Wieme. We've been talking about this for months, so I'm so glad that she is here today. She is a multi-passionate go-getter who's always striving for better. And I'm serious when I say that. When she's not putting people under, she works in anesthesiology. She's running her Better Club Facebook community and having conversations about overcoming and success on her podcast, which is called Unstuck. I love the fact that LaChelle is driven to help network marketers and other women just to get out of your own way by developing courage and belief and confidence to keep going and make the impact that you were meant to make. So today we are going to talk a little bit about getting unstuck, whether it's in our life or our business. But LaChelle, I want to start by just getting to know you a little bit. So introduce yourself and share a little bit of your story, because I'm guessing if you're helping people get unstuck, you probably have a piece of being stuck in your background. Is that right?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Lisa, I got to just tell you that sometimes I think that we're stuck, but we don't even know we're stuck. And I think that that has been my journey. So I literally felt like I was living out my dream life when things totally took a completely 180-degree turn. And I was, in my dream job, I was doing anesthesia half-time. I was teaching for our doctor of nurse anesthesia program half-time in my dream position, traveling the country, speaking, doing all of the things. And God introduced me to an online business. And I got to just tell you that I was so busy. I had never done anything like that before. And the funny thing is that it was in skincare and I wasn't even washing my face. So that's how I know it was from him, because it was nothing I was looking for. Right. But one of the things that I try to be is obedient. Right. And so I kept seeing things about this company. I kept, hearing things, reading things. I'm like, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, then fine. Like, fine, I'll listen, but you have to send me people I can help. And I got to just tell you that initially I just was like, oh, this will be a fun new challenge. What God did for me though, Lisa, is he revealed to me the fact that I had had a problem for a while and didn't even know it. And so this is what I mean by I didn't know I was stuck. You see, the thing is that my husband's a teacher. I had young kids, and literally I longed to spend time with them. In the summertime, they were at our pool in our backyard. And there I was in my office in front of a computer with a stack of papers to grade. And I was missing out on my family. And I was recognizing that all of my striving, all of my ambitious personality and my overachieverness was leading me to a life where I was missing out on the things that were most important to me. And it was kind of like, I think a lot of us have this when you go into business for yourself, especially in network marketing. I feel like we have 2 ahas. The first one was, like I could probably make a little bit of money. And the second aha is, holy crap, this might actually be the ticket to what it is that I'm dreaming of. Because the thing is that I never realized that we could have an and life. What do I mean by that? I felt like I either had to have this challenging, fun, fulfilling career or be a present, engaged mom and wife. And I didn't realize that there was a way for me to do both, to have the and life where I could feel challenged and fulfilled and make an impact, but also spend time with my family and be an engaged, present mom and wife. And so when I started to kind of have that aha, it was like God said, you're welcome. You're welcome. And everything changed from there. In fact, like I remember when I signed up for this company, I was on the track to, my goal was to become the director of this nurse anesthesia program. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, my mentor is telling me 3 to 5 years, like things could look completely different. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, like, what do I have to lose? 3 years. If this completely sucks, I'm not out anything. Got some free skincare in the meantime. But if it's what I, think it could be, like, then maybe I won't apply for her job. And I got to tell you that 3 years came. And before that 3 years was up, I had already resigned from that position. I cut back my time at the hospital. I started growing my business. My business morphed into something else. And all of it has been aligned with, I feel like now my purpose, why I'm meant to be here in this earth. And I thought it was in my career, but it was the career that led me to where I am now. And I think that that's one of the things that I think is important for us to remember, is that sometimes we can feel stuck and sometimes we just have to be obedient, and everything is going to be revealed to us in its due time.
I love that. So many great little spots in your story to inspire and encourage us where we're at. So let's circle back to a few of those things that really stood out in my mind. And I'm guessing that our listeners are picked up on some of these as well. The first one was that you didn't realize you were stuck. Like, so thinking back, I mean, I'm sure, hindsight is 2020. So you can look back now and see that you were stuck. But why do you think you couldn't see it for yourself? And do you think that other people around you could see that you were stuck in that place? Or do you think it was like not even obvious to anybody?
No, I think honestly, this is what's going to be really fascinating, is that I don't think that I could see it. And I don't think other people could see it, because ultimately what happened was, if I had to be really honest and vulnerable with you here on this podcast, Lisa, I will tell you that my whole life, I was an overachieving go-getter, right? I grabbed, more accolades, more degrees, more awards, all the things. And if I had to be really, really honest with you and myself and our audience, I would say that I was doing it to try to become worthy. Okay. And I feel like I didn't realize that that wasn't the way God designed us, right? I felt like I had to constantly be earning my worth and be gathering things to fill up my worth, right? And it was when I started my business that I started to put myself out into, I call it the deliberate field of rejection, which is terrifying from someone who is constantly trying to achieve her worth, right? So I'm going to imagine like it's scary as crap, right? But what was happening is I was coachable, and I'm like, all right, like, fine, let's just do this. And I was starting to put myself out there, and I got to give you some, insight. Like when I started my business, I maybe had 200 friends on Facebook, and I only posted the occasional shared inspirational quote and edited pictures of my kids. That was it, because I didn't want to be vulnerable. And now all of a sudden I'm having to be, exposed and put myself out there. And oh my gosh, what if somebody thinks that I'm, conceited or full of myself because I'm all of a sudden on social media? Or what if I, send a message to somebody about something and they reject me and they think I'm stupid, or they don't, message me back, or all these things. And I was putting myself into that line of rejection on purpose. And I was learning that I'm not going to die.
Right.
I was learning what I was capable of. I was learning that when people say no, it might be that they are too busy, but it has nothing to do with me. I was making everything about me. And I was starting to recognize that there are going to be people that come into our life because of what they were getting. And then there's people in our lives because of the fact that they're supposed to be there. Right. And I started to surround myself with my tribe, and I started to come into my own. And I think that when I started to come into my own because of this is when I started to recognize, okay, hold tight. You were just plain small. You were trying to be the chameleon that was going to be accepted by everybody else. And now you're right where you need to be, and you can be you, and people are going to love and respect you for you. And it was almost like I shed the skin. I was taking off the mask, and I was starting to step into who God designed me to be. And I think that when I got to that point, that's when I felt stuck, because all of a sudden it was like, I explain it like this, like you put on this new coat and the old one doesn't fit anymore. It's too tight.
Right.
I was outgrowing myself, and I was looking around, and the conversations I was having, in the break room didn't fulfill me anymore. I was looking around, and the fact that I never get vacation wasn't fulfilling me anymore, because I had all of these plans with my family I wanted to make. All of these things started to come together once I started to get confidence, once I started to grow my own ability to see my worth in who I am already in God and whole in God. And that's when I felt like, okay, wait a minute, there's something more for me. But I don't think anybody ever knew that. If I tell people that that was something I struggled with, they would never have believed me, because from the outside, I looked like I had my stuff together.
And
Right.
that's what we do, right? We make it all, and we even tell ourselves that, which is why you didn't even realize you were stuck, because I mean, without knowing it, you were kind of fooling yourself into, you know, what you thought you were supposed to be, and that everything was fantastic on the outside. And it's
Absolutely.
that process. And I love that. And how interesting that, you know, you went into a skincare company where you're probably revealing your skin and yourself without makeup on, right? So you're literally physically having to be bare before people. And just the parallels to that.
It was like, I was like stripping myself naked. The fact that I now like will post pictures of myself without any makeup on. I haven't worn makeup to work since COVID started. I would never have even gone out of my house to go to Walmart before without getting myself done up.
Right.
And so changing from the inside out, and it's like something that I never would have guessed. And I think that is why I feel like I'm on the right path, because what I'm finding is that people are coming to me now because they're in business, right? And they're struggling with the lack of confidence. They're struggling with the lack of self-worth. They're afraid to do the things that their mentors are telling them to do. They're afraid to put themselves out there on Facebook. They're afraid to have the conversations because of the rejection fear. And they're coming to me because of their business. But what I'm finding is that struggle in their business is just a symptom of what has been going on inside of them for all of these years. And the fact of the matter is that the business is what allowed them to open up their eyes to see like, hey, this is something that I don't want to live with anymore. And when we can start to peel that back and use the business as like the first diagnosis, people's lives literally change like mine have. And girl, like that's why when we talk about this stuff, I light up. I am on fire because
your face is totally on fire, right? For those of you who didn't see the video, she's just like this giant smile, and your whole body is like leaning in, because it's that like, I just can't wait, right? I love that you just said, you know, that it was your business that brought this out, because as a recovering to do girl and overachiever as well, it's very easy to just get busy in all the doing and make it look like everything is great, right? And oftentimes I found for myself, I was hovering in those things that either I had done before, so that's easy for me to keep doing, or the things that were just maybe a little bit of a shift up from that. So I still had to do a little something different, but it didn't require me to become a different person. And for me, I stepped into my business, and then as I've continued to take steps to those next levels, it's been like, you know, whoa, how, like I have to become a different person, or at first really discover who I am. And then really become that girl, right? Who does those things that require her to be on a different level than where you were before. So I love that. I love that. You mentioned something earlier that I thought would be fun to talk about. You talked about having an and life. So I've heard this concept before. And so I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because not everybody understands what an and life is and what's the opposite of an and life. So kind of let's go back there and kind of define that and talk about like, how can we have an and life?
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, that's such an interesting question that you have, because one of the things that I find trips people up is something so elementary. And it's that we don't remember how to dream, and we don't remember how to think of our lives as better than it is. And then what trips us up often is that we don't believe that it's possible for us. So we'll watch things on social media. We'll look on Instagram. We'll say, oh, well, that's an amazing life for her, but I could never have that. And so I think that that's one of the things that I'm so glad that you asked that, because people hold themselves back by not even allowing themselves the permission to think of the what if questions. What if I could actually be the mom to volunteer at the Halloween party? What if I could actually not worry about competing with 300 other people for vacation? What if I didn't have to stress about the bills that come every single month? And I think that that first little step of allowing ourselves to dream about something better for ourselves is the first step. But what I would say is the if life, which is the opposite of the and life, is really where a lot of people like myself, I'm an all or nothing thinker, and I'm overcoming it slowly, right? So it's black or white. It's either good or bad. I either suck or I'm good. Like there's no in between sometimes. And I'm working on that. But I think that we think that it has to be, I either perform or provide for my family or, you know, and be miserable, or, you know, I'm happy, but we don't have anything. Right. It might be, you know, there's so many things that I think we hold ourselves back because we don't allow ourselves to think that it's even possible. And so that was one of the things. Like I was in my job and I loved it, but I literally felt like the only way for me to feel fulfilled, because I just love new challenges. I love to learn new things. I love to just see what I'm capable of. Right. And I literally felt like the only way for me to do that was to follow the track that I had already established. So I went to nursing school, then I got my master's in anesthesia, then I got my doctorate in anesthesia. And I was just on the path. I was going to stay at the same, you know, medical institution that I was at. And I was just going to climb that corporate ladder and then ride that out for the rest of my career. It was the only way. Right. The problem with that was that it came at a cost of literally being with my family. I had all of this vacation and I wasn't using any of it. Wow. I was the last mom to tires squealing into the daycare center at the end of the night. I was never the mom that could be there for things. I longed for the opportunity to be able to volunteer, to be able to have the vacation, to be able to do the things. And so I literally felt like I had to choose. I can either feel challenged and fulfilled, or I could be a really good mom, but I couldn't do both. And I think that, you know, there are stay-at-home moms, for example, that might be listening to this and they're like, you know, I want to give my kids my 100% priority, but I also feel like I need something for me. You can have it both. You can have the and life. And I think that sometimes we feel like we have to choose one or the other. And I feel like giving ourselves a permission to explore, to be open to the opportunities that are out there, will allow for you to be able to step into that. And I think that the steps to that is, number one, again, is allowing yourself the permission to dream. Like, what would that look like? If I could identify that dream life, what would that look like? And even if it's like an ounce of belief, like if you can have an ounce of belief that is possible for you, that's all I need to start. Right. And then I want you to promise me that you're just going to be open, because I have literally seen this happen time and time again, that the moment that you allow yourself to be open, in my experience, because I, you know, have my faith, this is, and you guys don't have to believe what I believe, but I believe that God will bring us that next opportunity if we're open to receiving it. We have to be ready. And so you would be amazed, you guys, at the way that he delivers this and solution for you that could very well completely change your life. And this is the thing. I think that if you can do what I just said, I can tell you that your life will be better than what you can even imagine for yourself now, because I literally thought that my life was my dream life. But the moment that I was obedient and I took that leap and I believed in that little bit and I was open to the possibility, my life is way better than I could have ever even imagined it could be. But I had to take those first steps.
I love that. And I love the fact that, first of all, you started asking those questions. You started getting curious. And here's the thing. I think most women, when we start asking what if questions, it's all the negative. What if I fail? What if, you know, I forget my kids at daycare? What if, you know, like all the negative bad things that could happen? What if my kids, you know, are emotionally traumatized because of the choice I made? What if, you know, and really turning that around and saying, like, ask like what's possible, right? In a positive way towards what you want. And I was just reading a quote this morning. I don't have it right next to me right now, but it was talking about how it can't just be a wish for us to be ready to receive it, which is that second part you said about being open. We have to have that belief there that it is possible. And like you said, sometimes it's just that little mustard seed of belief, right? And like, okay, God, I'm trusting you that you're bringing this and you're going to figure this out. And that's what I love about those goals that make you grow beyond where you are, because you can't just like literally go, yep, this is exactly how this is going to play out. I can see every step. But you also, like if you were to take your kids to Disney, you don't know every single turn you're going to take between your house and Disney. You know generally what direction you're going, and you know, to get started, I'm going to go to the end of my driveway. I'm going to turn left. I'm going to turn right, left, get on the highway, and then I'll follow GPS from there. And so, yeah, God's way better than his GPS, right? But sometimes it's like we just have to take that first step and make that first turn, and
absolutely.
the way opens up, right?
Yeah. But I think like if you guys need this another analogy, because I think like having that initial belief can be really, really hard for ourselves. So I'm going to give you an analogy that's kind of an opposite, but I think it'll help you to understand this concept. So let's just pretend that you're on a jury. Okay. And you heard both sides of the argument. If there was a seed of doubt, you wouldn't convict that person guilty, right? There would be enough reasonable doubt for you to say, you know what? I don't think this person should go to prison for the rest of their life. I want you to think about that in terms of if you can have a seed of belief, it could be enough to just help you take that very first step. And I think that, I think about this often, and Lisa, I got to tell you that this is a lesson that I'm continuing to learn the hard way over and over again. So you guys, I do not have it all figured out, but what I'm realizing is that if I just trust the step for right now, the next one honestly will come in as it needs to in flow. I don't have to be in strife and in hustle and in just, it doesn't have to be as hard. And I think that one of the things that I've noticed is that, let's just say that God is promising to take you to this amazing journey on the top of this mountain. Okay. And it's beautiful. And once you get there, you're going to look out and you're going to be able to see the entire world. And it's the most stunning view you've ever seen. But he shows you the entire journey to get up there. And you're looking at all of the steep hill, and you're looking at all the twists and the turns and everything else. And you're like, oh, nope, not, right. I don't get it in me. Right. Even if you can see it, it's really, really hard and we can get overwhelmed and exhausted and we don't want to do it. But if you can think about it, like you have little tiny lights on the end of your shoes and all you need to do is to take one step, and you will literally, you don't know that you're going up and down and around all the things because you're just going one tiny step at a time. And before you know it, you're going to get to the top of that mountain. You're going to see this amazing view and you're going to be like, holy crap, I can't believe I just did that. Because he does that on purpose. He doesn't want us to see all of the ways that it's going to be maybe hard, but it's going to be worth it. And so when you can trust him one tiny little step at a time, you're going to be, taken to the place that you need to without being quite as discouraged if you knew the whole journey.
I love that. Cause you're right. I think most of us, if we were handed the plan, we'd be like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And how often, I think of so many times that I tried to write out the plan and be like, here, God, can you just sign here? Like, I think this is a really great plan. And just you using the word better. I love the word better, right? Cause, God just always has ways that he just goes better and better and better. Right. I remember my parents gave me this plaque in college that said, God reserves the very best for those who leave the choice to him. And, it's so easy for us to be like, oh, I got this. There can't be any better than this. And here, this is going to be the best plan. And yet, we can make those plans and have those dreams, but then hold them loosely and say, you know what, by faith, I'm going to take the next step and I'm going to trust that this could be even better. So like when I like to do my affirmations, I like to say whatever it is I'm wanting or better, right? Or more, and leave space for that like expansion. So that, if God wants to pour on more or better than I even anticipated. I remember one time in answer to a prayer, I remember literally out loud saying, really, God, this is your better. Like I could not even see how this was better than what I thought he was doing in our lives. And I couldn't see it for a long time. Right. But now looking back, I can look back and go, oh, okay. And that was really hard. And I would not have agreed to it had he said, well, this is what the next couple of years is going to look like. I'd been like, yeah, no, thanks. I'll take, my little safety zone over here. But then you grow, right? And you get to this place, like you said, that mountain that you would have never had that view had you not taken that journey. Yeah. So I love that.
Absolutely. And I think like your women that are listening to this are over 40. So many of you are moms, right? And you think back when your baby was little and you're like, oh my God, this is the best stage. And then they get to the next stage and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite. And then they get to the next age group and they're like, no, this is my favorite. Just imagine that if you kept your baby at the same, age for their whole lives, like you would never have experienced any of those other amazing moments that you had, while your children grew up. And so just knowing that is going to be in store for you. And I love what you said that, Lisa, because I think we have to choose sometimes to have that perspective, because you can very well say that season sucked. Like that was awful. But if you choose to find the lessons, if you choose to find the gift in it, if you choose to look for how it refined you and how it molded you to be the person you are, there's always a gift in things. And you look back and you're like, that's why I learned that lesson. And I am so grateful for that.
I love that. That's why gratitude is so important, because we can give thanks in all circumstances, knowing that, like you said, there's always a purpose, and there's something bigger out there within us, which I think brings so much peace and hope in a world where sometimes we wonder where we're going. So love the things you shared with us today. I know we could talk, for days about this, because this is something especially as women, we struggle with, right? We struggle with not knowing what the path looks like. We struggle with being rejected. We struggle with feeling like we're stuck in this place we don't want to be, and we don't really know where we want to go or how to get there. Right. And so there's so many different questions. So tell us a little bit about what, so if someone's listening today and they're like, I'm stuck, or I just want to live that better life. What do you have to offer? Where can people find you? What would be a next good step for a next better step?
So you guys, I would love for you to just be in my little tribe of people who we literally just are longing to be better so that we can do better and have better in our lives and our business. Right. So I think that we're never wanting to be better than someone else. We want to be better than who we were yesterday. And so inside of my private Facebook group, the Better Club, that's all we're about, is being better, doing better, and having better in life and in business. I also am super passionate about the Unstuck podcast. I actually just reached the 10,000 downloads this week, which has been so much fun. And you guys, it's been just amazing to have conversations with people who share their stories about how they got unstuck and give really amazing hope and practical tools to help you get unstuck in business and in life. And Lisa, I would love to share with the audience one of my favorite things that I created, because I feel like when people are stuck, and specifically in business, because they just can't get themselves to do what it is that their mentors or the gurus are telling them to do. Like, they know what to do, but they just can't do it. It's because of three things. Number one is they lack the belief in themselves. They just can't see it for their life. And the second thing is they lack confidence, which leads to fear. And then the third thing is discipline and time management. I think that sometimes we just can't figure out how to fit it all in. And so I created a better life blueprint for people to help overcome those three things. And I give you some of my very best tips. And I only give that out for certain events. And so I'm going to reserve that for this particular one. So it's kind of I save it for special things. So I will give your listeners access to that, because it's one of my favorite tools, some of my very, very best things to help you get unstuck. And I will make sure that I give you, Lisa, the link for people to access that, as well as to get into the Better Club and the Untuck podcast, because let's all get better together. That's my motto.
So we will put the links to those in the show notes so that you can have access to that, especially if you're listening while you're driving or mopping your floor or whatever else you're doing, when you listen to podcasts. I will say, one, I'm in the Better Club. You will love it. It's so inspiring. Two, I love when your podcast comes out every Wednesday. It just makes me smile to see that. I think it's Wednesdays, right?
It is Wednesdays. Yep.
I love, who's she talking today? And what's the message today? So it's so inspiring and helpful tips and things like that. So make sure you go check out her podcast. And I'm going to be a guest on her podcast coming up soon. So you'll get a double whammy to hear both of us again, which will be really fun to do, to share that with our audiences. So I love that. And I love how you are, you're focusing on who you're being. And that's really my story. Like I said earlier, I'm a recovering to-do girl. And I'm learning that instead of just doing more and trying to chug up the mountain on my own, it's better to step back and be first, and then let God guide me in where I'm going. So I'll put the link to my Goal Achieve Girls to Be list down in the notes as well, because it's all about who you are up here, right? Up in our heads first, before where we start letting our feet go. So so many great resources. And I'm excited to hear the feedback from you who are listening. And I want you to be thinking about a woman that you know who might be feeling stuck where she is. because there's so many things in life that can make us feel stuck, and it doesn't have to be that way. You know, we can move beyond that to places that are even better that we didn't even know exist. And that's what I love about it, is that all you know right now is as far as you've been. And what if like there's this amazing world, this amazing life, this amazing thing, this amazing person, opportunity, whatever it is, like just on the other side of you taking those steps. Like that just excites me. And I can't wait to hear the stories that come from people taking those steps because they've been inspired by this episode. So before we go, I've been liking to ask my guests at the end, because we talk about 7 F's in our life. We have different areas of our life, and it all works together, right? Like a wheel. So for you, I want to ask, which area for you would make the most difference to really put more intention in this next year? And the 7 areas are your faith, your family, your friendships, your field of work or business, your finances, your fitness, and your fun. Which one for you, LaChelle, would make the biggest difference, do you think, in the next year?
You didn't even know this, but my word for 2022 is fun.
Love it.
And I think that when we can remember to have fun in our lives, everything else is going to fall into place. If you are having fun in your business, other people are going to want to be part of your world. They're going to want to be part of your business. If you're having fun, your friends are going to want to come along. If you're having fun, your family's going to want to come along. God wants you to have fun. And when you can be in a place of joy and just enjoyment, everything else is going to fall into place. And so that is absolutely my word. And I'm working on it, because when we have too much pressure associated with all of the stuff, we don't get the life that we want. And so you guys remember to have fun.
I love that. And that's the one that is my lowest area that I'm putting the most intention into as well. Because, you know, if for us doers, we have to pause and have fun. And it's amazing how you actually get more done when you stop to have fun along the way. So I absolutely love that. Well, I trust that everyone listening today was inspired. You'll go back and re-listen. You'll share this with friends and family and coworkers and people that you know, and that you'll reach out to LaChelle, and then you'll grab the resources down in the show notes and comments, wherever you're watching this, and really, you know, decide, I'm not going to stay stuck, and I'm going to take those steps of faith and see where God leads, and then share your story with somebody else, inspire somebody else in this journey. So thank you so much, LaChelle. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you everyone for listening today. And until next time, remember to keep living out your purpose and creating a life that you love by design. Take care.
Bye, everybody.